and comes up here and round. Initially, they wanted to come here and go up there, and I wouldn't let them. I got them go dog-legging in, mainly because of the sensitivity of this area. But I was the only one that knew of the sensitivity, but at least they took notice to do this. Whakaipo Road, that interesting place down there.
Should we go down there?
Okay, drive. I'll show you I'll just show you in relevance to what's the lie of the land and what was where and why it was where it was. This is nice in spring when it comes in flower.
What sort of fruit trees are these?
Oh, this is just a flowering cherry.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
a,
Not even
all
fruit.
ornamental.
Wow, it's all farms, that.
Just stop at the gates.
I'm not going to go through
No.
multiple hazard.
Now, having dealt with the farm developments and that, see that hill is Munganui,
Yes.
Watai, Munganui, Watai. And the Maori back in the 1880s had it coming halfway through the paddocks. There was a tree there I took a photo called the Widowmaker. That's long fallen down. But the Maori had a big 200-acre reserve coming right up the top and halfway into the farm paddocks. Then the Japanese Kaipo bought half of it off Patterson's. Patterson's was leasing the dock land, and the son took some rocks and put them all back in the trailer and take them back to the to the reserve. I have to be proactive with about everything everywhere. If I could do so much, why can't a few more do much more?
My point exactly, Perry, and that's why we need to kind of start holding each other's hands instead of walking in isolation.
Now, they're coming down here, access to Whakaipo Bay here, and there was settlements, all settlements, and burials on both sides, and in very ancient places. Nothing in the minutes, nothing on records or anything else. But now, the 200-acre burial reserve, one of the graces got interfered with that. We can't have burials, potential thing. And now all that hill that you see, and it was originally a Maori burial reserve from 1880, is now all dock land. All dock land. Not Maori land, all dock land.
So how did they get it off the Māori lands? How did Doc get that?
It was a simple duplication, and this was my concern of Rangatira getting that 30-acre reserve, just to stop what was going on. No one else couldn't give a hoot. And Whanganui Bay, Waihaha, Waihora, that was all would come under dockland to this day. There'd be no settlements of any houses and that. They'd all be shifted off for the proposed reserve schemes in the 1970s. And that's where I stopped the land swapping and the whole deal that was going, with the help of Peter Crawford, the county planner. He was the sort of person you go in the office and you say, want to see him, and he'd say, cancel all my appointments, and you get serious things done, just one-to-one. None of this nonsense they have in committees and working bees and everything else, and what goes on today. So virtually unclimbable right around for the big bluffs there to the lake, but there are a lot of things down the bottom, and that was a serious burial place. The Ngāti Hutu, in the end, on the very top, we're surrounded under Kurapoto, and that was their, then after that they went intermarried. But when we go down to the bay, I point out a key critical whakapapa of the different branches that all united the people right from here all the way to Tauranga Taupo. Not 1 hectare of Taupo. Never was, never was. This is how history's suppressed, like the Andrews and that. They've had all that information, they just don't want to know about it. And getting the political ear with the Crown and local authorities and that have just taken over the control of the history, the suppression of the hapu, whānaus, the whakapapa and everything else. But here, going down these paddocks, you just dip down below that rise, and I think it's a 600-metre contour, and there's some marvellous photos of the big open pits, whether they're house pits or storage pits. And on the same level in Whakaipo Bay, on the level up there, in a lot of hungy stone, been brought by lake by canoe and carted up the hills. There's pits there, exactly the same level. So if you cast your eye on the levels, you've got them in that bay and you've got them above in this bay. And so that's why they're related, not only hugging by the lake and with their defensive works, but you've also got them in the different bays at given levels, and then you get certain site types and site features up there. The practices, burial practices, were quite unique. Some of the stones, campers in more recent times, scenic reserve, shifted the stones for their fireplaces off was burial markers, and that annoyed me. But then Maori people I took in to liaise with Doc and everyone else. I did manage to get Doc, even Lands' survey, to take the toilet out. The toilet was only about 10-15 metres away from Kuiwi. Serious lot of bones. 15 metres away. They put the loo, the long drop, and that in. But I managed to get a few things done in Lands and Survey Reserve, but Department Conservation, without raising a finger, got everything transferred, just to them. And many of the dock rangers and officers and that have never even stepped a foot in these reserves. Never,
yeah, to me, I find that's incredible. How can they be able kaitiaki when they know nothing about the whenua or its history? I don't accept it.
I'd have a farmer upset because from dock reserves here, a boulder would go down crashing through his fence. He's trying to get some joy from Department Conservation. You know, your rocks, my smash fence, stock being out everywhere. And so I got a lot of one-to-one contact with the some of the farmers here voluntarily retired some of the land toward the proposed reserve scheme that Doc now has got, without, as I say, lifting a finger. No acknowledgement for the goodwill of owners, Maori and Pākehā owners of land that voluntarily retired land when they saw the necessity of a buffer, because Land Survey came hard down right to the lake water edge, burnt off and crushed off all the vegetation that right to the lake edge here. And they did it in Western Bays, and they permanently silted up and destroyed several spawning grounds and fishery places. I'll point that out when we're on the boat.
Should we go down there now?
No, we're going to the next bay.
No, I'd have to get access and that.
Oh, this isn't Whakaipo Bay?
No.
Oh, this is the one next to Whakaipo Bay.
You got Whakaipo Bay, and then you got Kaiapō. This is Kaiapō.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone talk about this bay.
No, but who do you go to? Oh, they refer to someone on the trust board, someone here who have never heard of these places, and they say, oh yes, do this or do that. Or they might say all our land, they wouldn't have a clue whether it was the South Pole or the North Pole that they're talking about. This is just something with the Japanese. They stopped the access from the Maori land block for them getting the trees, the wildlings off the top, and that's when they started wanting to cross into Maori land, and that's where we had a story of a bridge.
So that 200
acres no longer exists. The original Maori reserve, through the interference starting from the Graces, no longer exists, and it's all dockland or it's private land. So when Maori in their concern back 150 years ago thought by doing the right thing, getting the surveys, getting these things registered, put aside as burial grounds and that, it thought everything would be safe 150 years ago. Now, not 1 metre of it, apart from a little tokenism down the lake strip, and they did another similar strip on the Kinloch side, you know, similar to a land strip from Murray Land.
So I've just got to have the camera close to you so that we can hear you clearly. So, sorry for shoving this in your face.
All around Kinloch, is there like a reserve chain, you know, like there is
around the lake, but a lot of that's been submerged. It was never corrected, and so Whaitaima, to appease the council, said, "Oh, we'll just put a drawing round and we'll recorrect it." Lazy as anything. Each thing has to be re-gazetted, re-gone, reapplied for, resurveyed for that to happen. It's been done properly. It's been done properly in 1 or 2 places around the lake, particularly the town end, but never anywhere else. And in their foolishness, by doing that, Whaitaima would have had to relinquish half the road and the hall and everything else down in Waihi. They didn't even think of that. They don't know nothing about anything to do with the bylaws or what's going, or the implication of what they shake their heads just to sound good with their council and government official mates. The town planner was here, and I was with him with Tumu and Takanu for 3 days. 3 days down Takanu, thrashing out things toward protection measures and everything else. Or the hill up here too. Slow down here while we've got a vantage point. See that house up on the hill?
Yes.
That's Tony Israel's hill.
Oh, we know Tony Israel.
Yeah, that was his house.
He's a farmer. He's a JP, eh?
It was, well, he's dead now.
Oh, did he die?
Yes, he died about 2-3 years ago.
Oh, never even heard.
No, but Tony Israel, he came to my place, him and his wife, because he wanted to be buried on his land.
Yes.
And he was so concerned because at the time the Jewish cemeteries in Wellington that were being desecrated. They were either smashed or had stickers and that, you know, the ho miners thing.
Yeah.
And he was concerned, but I put him on to Maori ministers, Maori representatives, just to approach a sympathetic area, so he'd be able to. You can get a departure and he can be buried on farmland in the country, you know, like that. But he just wanted that. But that's just a little to one side. I tend to wander off. But see where you go down that hill and goes right up, and then that strip across.
Yes.
There's a bit of ridge coming out, and that ridge seems to be in a defensive place. There's a bit of an earthwork, and I have an idea by memory there was a pit up there. So it wasn't on top of the hill, it was down on the lower slopes. And so that's the only earthwork having wandered right through the lands, as I've wandered everywhere through any of these lands, that I recall, note, and took a photo. But it was easier for me to go from his house site down and up there.
Yeah, we've been up to his house before.
From the lake. So there's a site up there, and we'll go, as I say, we'll keep going.
So what's the name of that hill? That's not Tuhingamata.
No, we've gone way past that.
Right.
We
Oh, yes, yeah.
goes on, Jeffrey.
We turn left here.
Left here. Someone used to have some colourful chooks here, and one of the farm boys amused himself at 22 and shot them all.
Me.
No need for it.
No.
So this is how all the roads used to be.
And this point, you can turn this off and you can cruise right down to the lake.
Can we do that, Jeffrey, just so that we can get some good sound? No? No,
it's
no,
an automatic. I
yes,
don't think it's a good
okay.
idea. Our brakes depend on.
Oh no, I'm talking about the freewheeling here. If you ease off just down here, ease off, and I'll talk to some of us.
I'll just drive up just a little bit.
Just ease off. Stop.
Oh, look, that was good time.
Yes. After we just haven't got the view now, people planted plants that were never any plants. But this is one of the best places left that you could see the original lake levels post-eruption, where the lake slowly went down, retreated down much to its historic level, but the former levels. But on the right of us, this hill coming down, there you go up about the first level up, and see the rock, that little rock outcrop up there.
Yes.
I've been up to that.
Yeah.
No problem, you have to be fit. But
Is that where the lake level was?
no. But in line with that, where this hill comes up,
Yes.
and there's a little bit of a drop, there's a line there, and that matches the level I pointed out about the open pits on that place. Same level, comes to that, and there's pits there, and this one's got big hungy stones, big water roll, river roll. No rivers around here, or streams. These water rolled ones, and they would have had to be brought from the other side of the lake there by canoe, probably as ballast, before they then carried up for good grain and hungy and that. So that's quite a nice little feature up there, and you can climb up, hang on to the fence line, and the one I just talked way above of Israel's place, you see that bit of a bump in that ridge more prominently now,
Yes.
Tony Israel's place,
Yes.
and that was a settlement thing. And these places might go back to Ngāti Hutu times too, overlooking the lake, but then they're between the old forests on the headlands that went right out to the headlands. Quite busy, aren't we?
Yeah.
Here,
Don't know who you are. No, that's all good.
I'm just thinking.
Jeffrey, why did we go to Tony Israel's house? Did I come with you?
Yes, you did.
I have no memory of it.
Yes, we had to get a JP signature for some reason.
Oh, for the trust,
Yes.
to start. Oh, did we go up
I
there?
think it was Te Kapua Hiniaro. or
Yes,
something
yes,
like
I think you're right.
Well, that hill was an established boundary between Oronoi, the top of the hill, and the whole range coming right out right out into the lake, almost in the line. And that line went straight. A line went straight, and that was Whakaro.
Oh my God, e hoa.
You want to go to one.
We're all good.
It was here that the dock ranger from a dock person from Turangi came, and those people, I think I told you, it was over here that we demand the right to
Yes.
walk the land.
Yes, that's right.
And they made out, over there was the burial. Then they put the burial down the stream, then on top of the mountain there. And the Kuiwi was on the other side, and that was brought, but I wasn't telling them that. It was taken over to Whakaipo Bay.
So where we are now is a dock reserve.
This is
That's been
scenic
left.
recreation reserve.
So is this a public?
Now see there, that's the old lake level. See those banks?
Yeah.
That's the old lake level.
Wow. So
And we went up
way higher.
in post eruption, and then it slowly, and you got the terraces before all this has been blurred and camouflaged. Went dropped right down progressively to the lake.
Just a second. Are you saying that the lake was higher
Want
than
to
it?
want to take a photo of that?
Well, see, I don't understand what I'm looking at.
Well,
Can you just...
you've got the rock outcrops,
Yes, yes.
and there was one
Oh
boulder,
wow, yes.
and there was one boulder there, just the other side of the pine, that had very
Yes.
faint pigment marks on it, a little series of little ochre dots. I took a photo and managed to trace all those, and it was about that time the farmer's son, who had leased the land, was leasing, took a trailer load of the rocks for his place.
Right.
I made them take them, put them back, because this is still a reserve. So that's one time I was over there about March picking up mushrooms, and a lady using the track came in great panic and thought I was going to get things to poison myself. I've been picking mushrooms since I was 3 years old. So you get funny reactions from public, you know.
Yes,
anything that's not in a packet in a supermarket.
Yes, yes.
But so that's the story there. So the higher hill up there was, as I say, pits and these water-round stones.
Yes.
And then way up on that ridge, way up the back, proud against the hills there, was looked like a small defensive position, sort of ridge with a bit of an earthwork and a pit there. But yes, and the whole range divided the Oranui block, where the was Tatua block became the Kinloch block, and that was a boundary line that was set up. And because Jeffrey's not here, I'll follow that up with the
Good,
how
good.
the land in this block got cut out.
Okay.
Seeing he's asking the ifs and hows and what
Yes,
have you.
yes.
All that lie going to the lake, into the bay and that point, that strip is mostly a narrow strip at the foothill and going in about 200 metres, maybe less, is a Maori land strip, Whakaipo Maori land strip, and possibly a bit shorter than the one that on the Kinloch side, but had a similar strip. It's funny how the Crown acquired much of the land and gave you little reservation strips, for want of a better name.
Reservation, yes.
I took a trustee through all the lands when he's been new trustee. I just tried to educate him on the thing. So Jeffrey thinks it's goodwill to say this is us, show them that, show them records and that things will fall in place, and it just hasn't happened. And you'd be quite surprised the number of people, even on Maori land, who haven't wanted to know a thing about protecting your sites, where they can have the development, they can get the income, they can have that, and just for a little parcel here or a little reserve there for all the reasons. The old people put aside land, and because it wasn't used for 100 years, someone said, oh, well, you put a house or something on. They don't question why haven't they used it for the last 100 years, and we want to do it because no one else is. So it doesn't even go to the immediate process. Why hasn't this been done or put in houses or subdivided up to now.
And you find it ironic, only 25% of Māori own their own homes, and yet there's all around the lake for Māori, but no Māori able to live on it. I mean, it's one of the coolest ironies around.
Well, they've got the papakainga here, and that can be expanded.
For who?
The Maori owners. This is a Whakaipo strip. All that to that point out there, strip here, coming back up to this corner. That's a whole Maori strip. But
the only house is the one down there, isn't it?
that's a papakainga. So they initially using the money for the lease land, and then they've come and gone. They've had the odd caravan, and that over the years. But
that's as far as it's gone.
Plenty of land there to put half a dozen houses. But that's as far as it's gone with what was given to them from the dock lease land, and just used. Nothing's happened since. And whose problem is that? You've got their own land, their own papakainga cut-off area. To de-embark for lease land to dock. I've measured almost every square metre of the features for 600 solid metres, and pops and others. Gathering bees. Beekeepers. Seeing I was talking about beekeepers at Whakaipo Bay.
Where are we going?
To the right,
We keep going right down now here. Well, the fishermen tend to go right down, and the Marlborough stream comes out there. But that's the general route down there. See, there's another low bank, another lower lake level as it drops down toward the prison. So you're going to go down in front of you.
Me and mate.
Just a recreation reserve. See the levels there?
Yes,
Lake benches,
yes.
lake levels. And so it's one way up there.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's just to give you an idea here. Just got to bear in mind your lake features. Strawberries and that do voluntary planting annually here.
That's a big reserve, isn't it? There's a lot of land here. Wow.
Now see how banks how sharp they are from the lake?
Trees aren't doing very well.
Of course. See no camping at this point.
Like that.
Well, we had some wild parties and fires and things, you know, and people with no restriction. Just around this corner, I'll show you something before we go in properly. I'll explain the reasons for that. This is mainly I'm responsible for that, I'm afraid. But if you, no, for this activity. If you want to pull to one side, I will walk over here and I'll show you what we'll pull up here.
Oh, signage.
Yes, I got a certificate for this. In case we had the former minister, might be for National Party, Minister of Conservation, come and have an idea. Tumu turned up too. I took a lot of photos. But there was quite a group of us. This is where we'll be going to.
Straight ahead.
Straight ahead.
No.
Okay, the reason for this, I've taken the initial spy that away, is between here, runners, walkers, ride with care, off-road challenge.
30th of October, they'll be lucky. So this has all been put in because of the K2 trails?
Yes, now I was responsible going to Marae, Nukuhau, Marae Rongoronui, to get the approval, although it's only in dock land, but you still had as a possibly interest party. And part of the agreement, someone, mainly Gail Leaf, was supposed to go with me and never turned up 1 metre of it, too much trouble. So I did the entire thing by myself. And this is the first start. This is where we are here, and comes up here and round. Initially, they wanted to come here and go up there, and I wouldn't let them. I got them go dog legging in, mainly because of the sensitivity of this area. But I was the only one that knew of the sensitivity, but at least they took notice to do this. So they got it here. They wind meander up. A lot of this was farmland. You could still see old fences and that, and the overgrowth. Because I used to walk from here over, top and over, from here top and over, and And so this gives you some marvellous views, and it zigzags because it keeps much to the 500 metre contour. Up here, zigzag, zigzag up, fairly steep, and then the 500 metre contour to go around. That's the shorter bit, most of the bike people go, the shorter bit. One time I was walking about here and the chap was going to Kinloch, and we ended up and he took me by car back, so I didn't have to walk back that way. And this is the extended part right out here. That's the Perry seat, way out there.
I remember you talking about it yesterday.
So that's marking that, and this is these Topia. The modern maps have got things, hardly anything on, and the one thing they've got on is all wrong anyway. But this is very popular, and this was so successful. Then the old track at Kinloch, the other end, we started W2K, but the other end here, and they followed the course. Mainly on the older walking track. I advised to go over to Kinloch here, because the reserves ranger would see me with a backpack come out into the lake so many times that I advised on the track. And this has been modified now for the walkers, and not too many walkers, I'd say, over to that. And this then, because the local Maori didn't want it coming across their land, which would be such a simple thing, it had to come up. And so from Rakau, I got the name reinstated Rakau, coming down here. So I monitored all that right down and through to here. In the last stage I monitored, and this was just over 2 years ago, was this connection here, because the cyclists were coming all the way down here, and bad for vehicles and that. So got the cyclists now connecting up the shared place here, Kawakawa, and then their Taki coming down here and reconnecting up with that. So it's been a lot of work, and people benefit. They can get out, forest and nature. I tried pleading the case to let it extend through there and connect with Whakaipo Bay, because I said, look, some of your people in that it's near places. We avoid the Whaitaima places, but it's the only opportunity your younger generation will ever get to be able to walk and go near these places. But even that reasoning was
not enough for them.
Wasn't enough. So you could have got their track, the access free, carefully avoided the sensitive places, but still in vicinity for the old people and that to be educated, and take the younger people in. So it's not as if I haven't tried. But this whole W2 track and then linking further down to, because they link to Waihaha, has mainly because my efforts, and more recently at Waihora, John Key came. Well, that's right, he dedicated that part of the track with a helicopter before he went to half a dozen other places to open that particular day. So that's just just a story. When I first came in these valleys, wading the marshes up to my chest in water to go through all the Mapara Valley area and that, no farms, nothing. And that was many years ago. And that's why when people say, oh, their burials here, and they're just talking through their hat. And when challenged, suddenly they relocate the same burial for a mile or two away, and each challenge relocate it. In other words, if they're that certain, they'd say this is exactly here for the different reasons. So I thought we'd just stop here, but this can be very popular in cyclists and others. And yes, so we've got 3 sheds like this around the lake for stopping points for the cyclists and the walkers. Open marks and that. That's the end of the beach.
So when was that 150-year period that you're talking about approximately?
I think I told you, I told you yesterday from about about 150 years up to about 1720.
Right, so we're looking at 1600,
Yeah,
500, 400 years ago.
two there,
Wow.
and connecting. But anyway, because you want to see canoe sites, hopefully we can still see some. We can leave here, but possibly if you want to get down there, you can see a small shelter with some just pigment rocks.
Yes.
At the end here.
Now,
We
have to get past this tree, but we can get on the other side of the tree and walk to the end of the beach.
Yes.
Should we do that?
But I'll keep what I have in store, because many things I'm going to show you.
Yes.
And to get to the whakapapa, two connecting things that 100% right connecting Tauranga Taupo and all the people up here.
That's right.
There, and we were at the beach, and it was way out and spotted, and the next thing came straight up to us. He must have had good eyes, and he stopped the boat and gave me a fish. That was the bay around there. He recognised me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
There were two of these. They were just enough to have keep the fires, bit of a wind shelter, and we had any shell that was here was the perna, a green mussel brought from the coast. And so there were some remains. Some of the old rocks, please, have been interfered. And it might be a similar shelter just by here that you see quite clear pigment marks have been applied on the rocks. So I'm not sure it's to the left or the right. I have an idea. The other one was to the right. So they're two parallel shelters, and one had the odd pigment mark on it, and the other one we could probably get to that shelter, but as I say, you'd be way over your knees probably with water.
Yeah, too nice.
People here, cultivation there, name for that place, name for this all along here. Around the corner there, higher up there, little shelters that have been used. But my idea of the landing, why have a landing, trouble moving the rocks, clearing the area, when less than 50 metres you've got a beach? My belief is burials they took by Waka, the deceased, had certain rituals which the Kokowai marks are part of before they took them up and put them into little cavelets or recesses there. And but there was so much going on about it, as I say, wooden comb, all things, and even some personal things, like they tried to drill a piece in that pendant, and that was being about the only pendant known that they've used of a almost transparent sliver of obsidian for ornamental use rather than just cutting and scraping. So a little and between shell, they were both perna shell and ordinary peepee shell. There was quite a few there. and some of them look as though they've been used for tools rather than eating there. And there was a small fireplace at the bottom, which is all under the water now, and big stones. But I noted what I could, and some of the things I passed on with the information had Jared visit, and he featured as part of his rock art presentation and thesis. Some of those, he had it dated too, carbon dating, and my idea here was that the activity in use up to the late 18th century, and his carbon dating seemed to verify it. But then I go by different things rather than just a modern science, which some people won't use their intuition or that to go beyond the modern science.
Okay. Okay, this battery's running out as well.
Of course.
Should we go? Should we gap?
Yeah, I have to turn it off. It's just
Sea groups and that.
Trying to rewrite history.
There's enough nutters on all sorts of things and
looking
theories.
at the riffles?
So in reply, I looked up every record regarding Ngāti Hotu from coast to coast, and found it. And then I put out an article, but then I didn't contact. I said, well, you contact them. Once they get you on their books, they won't let you go. Us asking, but a Maori chap I know who's living in Taihape, he got a book second hand, and he said he'd pass it on to me, but that was a couple of years ago, so I haven't heard from him since. But I don't have to look at it to know what nonsense has come out of the book, you know. Ngāti Hotu, the white warrior race, and they believe they were just nonsense.
Well, yeah. There's a few people who want to undermine the Māori, you know.
See the workings I've done here?
Mm.
Now I'll just go up here for a quick look, in case I was meaning to take you through all this beautiful soil. It's been built up and carries on right.
It's far richer than the soil we've got in Whaitaima. Yeah, the soil's terrible over there. Poor it. Hamasi, poor.
As I say, you've had generations building up from just and then you've walked away from it all and opened up supermarkets.
Oh no, this is natural formation.
Although it's levelled off terrace,
Yes.
but you only get the first Rua pit is from 500 metres. The first storage pit, once you get one, you get a whole lot of storage pits that way. None coming back this way. These what, in the measuring off and planning and that, I've got to work out.
So this is all part of the Māori block of
This is all part of Maori's block.
oh, it's a big block of land.
No, I got leased. I got the surveyor leased a strip, but
this is pigs.
pig.
Wow.
I think the big mounds I'm looking at are down here. But, Broadlands area, those connections that they brought food from that place linking Whakaipo and the Broadlands area, near where we went in that hill and that there at the rapids, downstream. Also, the birds and that were given food was brought from Lake Rutakawa, the Sulphur Lake, all for that's ancestrally connecting. And And this place held hands with the Umanu Pa. That's at headland that Andrew Cusamp's had bulldozed out and knocked Snow Ramaka's place out.
Yes.
And that was all connected with the people here.
Yeah.
Living there, born there, living here, born here, and the exchange was right across. So lands physically held hands with the people together.
So who was buried at the place that Snow Ramaka stayed on?
That was Pahi Poihipi Tukarengi's father at the Paramount-sea, and up this end of the lake. And what else have I got? What else have I got? It was Kurapoto that the descendants married into the Tamarangita Lions, and also when we went back, it was when I said that Tamihi was the landmark for Kurapoto, and it was Kurapoto that gave the oratory concerning, it was Uenuku Kopako, the great Arawa chief who came up to Mangakino and came down here, and it was Uenuku Kopako that was killed there under Kurapoto and his people. So places and that all start connecting up, and movements and people. Kurapoto, what's that, water?
Yeah.
For my hands.
No, just for your waha, your mouth, your dry throat. I mean, you can put some on your hands if you feel the need, but I'm going to put some.
No, I had a bit of rain shower earlier.
We did.
But Kurapoto came here because they're from Arawa country for a murder that had taken place. That's why he came over here. But this is all this lands, and all the lands to Tauranga Taupo, right through to Broadlands and that, were all established, secured.
While I find the lid.
Long before the time of Tūwhareitaua. And they always held these lands. It's only history writing. All these places have been pushed aside, denied as existing, and everything else that people politically and financially got a lot to gain.
That's what I'm realising with my naive kind of questions of people, as if they're going to just share everything that all of their skullduggery for the last 40 years.
But you see with the money in that and the revenues and these things, what started off just from day one hasn't got anywhere, and it should all been built on.
Yes.
Not just left.
Yes.
Stagnating like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's common. Let's put it that way.
So
Keep my shoes off.
my cautionary tales isn't to take tribe to tribe or whānau to whānau or hapu against hapu. It's what's common throughout New Zealand. We're so lost, avoided for the Kentucky Fry and the pubs and everything else is lost. There's been a disconnect to land.
Yes.
Even people might come.
Photogrammetry.
What was it?
Photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry. And that reveals a lot of the rock art that you can make it away.
Possibly could come two shoulders.